I don't.
Hey.
Hi.
Happy
Hi.
Friday, VeVe fam. Grubflow here, and boy, do we have a treat for you. Today, we're going to get to know a little bit better the women of the hour. Let's see if I can get this all in. Okay, more about animator, theme park designer, professor, CEO, and founder of the Themed Entertainment Creative Academy, featuring low-cost online educational resources, where Morgane has volunteered a great deal of her time helping the next generation of artists gain entry into the industry. And now, interactive design art director and artist at Disney. Help me welcome, and forgive me if I've missed anything, the charming Morgane Keesling. Before we jump in and get into the interview, we're going to go around and introduce ourselves and reveal our favorite Disney character. I'm Jen, or Grebflow. I'm a mom and an attorney in Los Angeles. And my favorite Disney character is Mary Poppins. It's always a jolly holiday with Mary, but my first lesson was from Mary Poppins on the importance of life-work balance. So that's my woman hero. And take it away, Natasha.
Oh, me. That's me. Hi, I'm Natasha, Little Miss NFT. I am from beautiful British Columbia, so I'm Canadian. And I'd love to say that my favorite Disney character is some fabulous strong woman, but it's actually Jack the Skeleton. So, which is kind of a Disney character, but so that would be my favorite. But if I'm talking about strong female Disney characters that I like, I actually really like Rapunzel because I think she's tough as nails. So there you go. That's me.
I'm
And then,
Ariel.
how about we go up to Sarah?
Hello, I'm Sarah. I'm from Scotland. And my favorite Disney character would have to be a Disney princess. I love the Disney princesses. And I would definitely say Jasmine. I've loved Jasmine from Aladdin growing up. I love her. I love her style. I love her personality. She's a down-to-earth princess. So yeah, it has to be Jasmine. Let's go to Ariel. I think you were going to speak.
Yeah, no worries. I'm Ariel. I'm from London. So my favorite Disney character, I've always had like the biggest soft spot for the sidekicks. So like the animal sidekicks. But I would say my favorite character is Figaro from Pinocchio, because he's just so cheeky, and when he does his little dance and his little feet and shaking, like it just melts my heart. So I just think he's the cutest. And I will pass over to the VVT.
Hi, I'm Heather, also known as the VVT. I'm in California. My favorite character is Donald Duck, along with millions of other one of the most popular Disney characters, and that's why I was so excited to see him with the lenticular cards drop that we had. And so let's pop over to Mandy, Miss Gecko.
Hi, I'm Miss Gecko. I'm an accountant from the East Coast of Canada. I'm crazy about NFTs, specifically NFTs where we get to meet the artist, which is today. A little bit of fangirl going on here now. My favorite character is Minnie Mouse, and I don't know if you guys saw me change my profile pic today. So that was me showing the new way we show our collectibles is, not physically, is through social media. So I was very blessed when I picked that up. I remember spending a lot of time picking out the perfect edition number and, just waiting for the perfect moment to buy it. So it was amazing. And the fact that we get to chat with you today is wonderful.
All right, I'll go next. I'm VeVe Magic, born and raised in Southern California. I'm a mom, entrepreneur, small business owner. It's really hard. I didn't prepare myself to pick a favorite, but I like huggable, lovable characters. So like Sully and Baymax are some of my favorite characters. And I'm a huge Disney nut, love going to the parks, and super excited to be here today. And let's pass it over to Nicole.
Hi everyone, I'm Norks, the Twitter handle's Glass of Pooey, but I'm Nicole. I'm terribly sorry, I'm a bit of a computer idiot, can't work my camera, so I'm not trying to be all terribly mysterious here. Born in London, living out in Surrey now. I'm a lawyer by day and a mum of a beautiful 8-year-old girl. Very, very happy. It's my first time as a VeVe lady, so I'm very happy to be here. I absolutely love. I think Daisy Duck has got to be one of my favourites. I think she's the perfect foil to Goody Two Shoes Minnie, and she's ever so slightly subversive. And my other kind of favourite, which I think I have to mention, I love anything Peggy Lee touches in Lady of the Tramp. I think she's absolutely fantastic. So yeah, love her. But lovely to meet you, Morgane. I'm very happy to be here.
Wonderful. So I guess we'll get started going in the Wayback Machine. Morgane has been living and breathing in art since you were a tiny, tiny wee one. And I learned a little bit more about you last night in my deep dive. So I think it's super interesting to learn about how you just kind of marched right into school, going to school for animation, and knew right then and there that you wanted to spearhead a program about theme park design. So why don't you explain a little bit about that and what made you want to do that and how you got that done, how you got that professor to agree.
Oh, that was fun. I am going to mention my favorite character is Tiana. I just wanted to share that. When the film came out, I was lucky enough, my boyfriend at the time, brought me to the Disney studios in Burbank. Somehow he got tickets to see it at the theater there. There was this whole experience. I saw that film, and there was a line that Princess Tiana says that she sings, and she says, "If you do your best each and every day, good things are sure to come your way." And it is the cheesiest thing in the world, but literally since I saw that film for the first time, that has been my mantra, and I say it to myself without fail every single day. So that film has always been really important to me, and it being one of the last Disney films with any kind of 2D traditional animation directed by Ron Clements and John Musker. I mean, goodness, what a powerhouse of a film. So anyway, the question at hand, I was fangirling, and I'm sorry. How did I get my professor to accept that I wanted to design theme parks and be a nerd for a living? Basically, since I was a little kid, I have been a huge Disney freak. The first time going to a Disney park was Disneyland Paris. I spent half of my childhood basically in the world of the northeast part of France in a little country town. And then the other half of my life was Los Angeles. But somehow both of these places had pretty Disney-centric influence. I think that might be the case in a lot of places. But I've been an artist since I could hold a pencil. I've always been very weird and outwardly creative in the sense that at 4 years old, I helped hand tool a leather Xena costume because I wanted to be this badass warrior princess. And I was making costumes and crafting, and my mother was very, very creative. And so we were always making things. And then on the other side of that, my father is an inventor as a living. That is what he does. So we were making robots and solar powered hot dog cookers and weird tech things, but trying to keep it pretty and creative. And I think I became a combination of those two things. And so when I started really going to the Disney parks out here was with my husband, who had gotten me a pass when we were teenagers. We were pretty young, and it was a gift. And we started going to the parks, and I was so inspired by the total immersion that someone would feel when they would go into a park, and they would just, my childhood was not necessarily the most happy at times, and we had a lot of loss and a lot of sadness. And I recognized that when you came to this place, that didn't matter. That didn't exist. Just for that time, you could live a different story. There was a sixth sense of escapism that I recognized even as a kid. And I became really attached to it. And, even when I was like 4 or 5 years old, for those of you in SoCal, you'll know the building I'm talking about, the animation building at the Disney Studios that's got the big pointy wizard hat. It's the Roy E. Disney building. Pointing off that when I was a very little kid and going, I want to do that, whatever that is. That's what I want to do when I grow up. So it's kind of a lot of things have come into place. That being said, it was time for me to decide, what do I want to do with my life as like a career. I had been working at a craft store, and I had worked at a chocolate shop or a candy shop, and, all these weird, quirky jobs. But finding my place when I got out of community college. I am a huge proponent for the community college route. I kind of failed through high school, did not do very well, didn't have options for school. So went to community college and discovered a really huge love for art history, and learned and realized that that's just another component to immersive entertainment, to themed entertainment, is recognizing and respecting the history of space, the history of places that we can visit and consume and become a part of in every way. So I got really into ancient Greek history, and then eventually found myself at Cal State Long Beach, where the director of the animation program, he asked me, like, what is it that you want to do? And I said, I want to make theme parks. I want to make interactive things. And he goes, we don't have a program for that. And I said, I know. But Disneyland was designed by a group of animators. They were plucked from the animation team. I mean, if we're going to celebrate women, let's talk Mary Blair. Let's talk Harriet Burns. You know, all these amazing, amazing women working from the creative side of a non-physical media, coming in and actually making these physical spaces. And that's not to say I'm not going to neglect Mark Davis as one of my biggest influences, Rolly Crump as well. You know, it took an army to make it happen, but they were mostly artists, illustrators, animators. And I was so inspired by that, and knowing that I could never afford a super expensive dedicated program to themed entertainment. So wanted to just sort of make my way. So I called all the schools that had programs like that. I asked to speak with their program folks, their, you know, deans, anyone, their instructors. And I put together a fake curriculum. And I went to, his name was Aubrey Mintz. And I went to him and I said, hey, Aubrey, so I want to do this. I've already gone and talked to other schools. I've already found equivalent classes at the university that cover these bases and cover these subjects. This is kind of the path I want to take. And I had already done all the research, and I said, you're going to let me do this? And he was like, okay, fine, but you're going to have to work your butt off. And I did. And here we are. That was the longest answer in the world. I'm sorry.
We love it. We love it.
Such a lovely answer, though. It's so interesting, you know, and what a drive, you know. It's, you know, in looking you up and seeing your accomplishments, we don't get to see quite as much as that aspect, like all that extra footwork that you had to do to make this happen. And that's just so inspiring and so exciting to hear about.
If you do your best each and every day, you know the rest. So I think, you know, a lot of things don't come easy for a lot of people. And the value of hard work is not lost on me.
Were you able to network from that program that you designed?
I was alone. No, I was very alone, but I had volunteered at a lot of like art events, and I came to a lot of galleries and things like that. And for a short time, I was living in San Francisco, where the Walt Disney Family Museum exists. And I used to go a lot. Like all my free time was spent in that museum because I was far from Disneyland, and I would sit there and just soak in the history and soak in and admire, you know, all the things that I was surrounded with that I wanted to surround myself with for the rest of my life. And I got to know some of the folks at the museum, and there was a wonderful gentleman whose name will remain anonymous because I know he wants to be anonymous, but someone very sweet recognized that I had been there a lot. And he introduced me to a couple of folks and showed my artwork to a couple of people. And one of those people ended up being Adrienne Norman, who was the wife of famed Disney animator Floyd Norman. Adrienne Norman is an insanely amazing artist. She is horrifically talented. And she gave me my first shot. And I started doing backgrounds for Disney, actually freelance in publishing. And she was kind of the first person who looked at my work and was like, yeah, okay, you could paint. You want to do a book? And that's exactly how she said it. And I was like, yes. So from there, you know, you meet people you're working with, and I love taking people to coffee and asking questions. And I got really annoying and sent a million emails to people who didn't know me. And then eventually joined the Themed Entertainment Association. So I learned about the TEA And I started volunteering like crazy for that and just working at the front table so that I could check people in, because I figured if I check people into the events, they're going to know my face. They're going to start to know my name. And then eventually we'll have a conversation that doesn't have to do with signing in, and they'll ask what I do. And then I can say, look, I'm an artist. Take a look at these things. This is the kind of thing I want to do. And that's how it happened. All of my free time went to helping the community, being a part of it, not just for my own gain, but because I really enjoyed actually for the first time having a community. So it's an honor to be with all of you ladies today, seeing how tight this community is. And that's what the draw was for me, was I see a lot of my own past and the things that we're alluring and supporting for my own development in this group and what you guys are doing.
Amazing. You've worked in so many different areas of art at Disney, from the theme parks to the NFTs, to background. What would you say was like your passion? Which area kind of attracts you the most, or is it kind of a different flavor based on your mood or the year?
I think that I've discovered this in the last 5 years or so. Anything that marries new tech, experimental tech, something like an NFT, with a physical experience. You know, I haven't seen much NFTs as physical experiences, but just generally speaking, things that are in that vein. So talking about one of the attractions I worked on was this little thing in Texas, and it was educational, which is extremely important to me. I love education. I love being able to spoon feed information in a way that's digestible and fun. But making it technologically interesting, making it something that is a challenge, that isn't just a poster on a wall that you look at, that is something that you can learn from or grow from or interact with in some way and manipulate and touch and feel and smell and whatever. So a full sensory experience married to technology. And that application can happen and I don't care necessarily, like the thing I love is that process and that development and the result of people really loving it, whether it's in a museum or a theme park or an exhibition space as a temporary thing. It doesn't matter to me. It's just knowing that someone is interacting with this thing and that their day has been made even a tiny bit better because of it. That is the ultimate satisfaction for me.
I love it. And we are super heading towards so much in the digital world, even from our everyday lives. Like down here in SoCal, there's not a restaurant I can go to that has like a physical menu anymore. And when I first got here, you know, I was like, oh, wait, where's the menu? And they're like, oh, just take it. It's on the table. And there was kind of like a slight learning curve for me at that point because that wasn't something I had experienced. But now it's kind of like the norm. And now we're moving even more into so many digital things. You know, we've got the country as a whole, like Biden announcing that they're, you know, setting this whole group up to look into NFTs, to look into cryptocurrencies, you know, to figure more things about it. And we're starting to turn more into these things for the entertainment industry, like we were talking about with creating more 4D and deeper interactive experiences. And it's so exciting, especially as a parent. Because I'm like, what kind of cool stuff are my kids going to get to do and see? Like, and I hope I'm always like super open to hearing like, no, mom, we don't do it that way anymore. This is how you do it, you know? And it's just so exciting watching this unfold. I feel like we're in such a digital time right now and a really important time for electronics, entertainment, and so many things. And it's so exciting seeing another person who's so open to merging these things, because I think this, as well as with a lot of different trades, we see kind of like this like hoarding or harboring and protection of like how it's existed because it's existed for so long in a specific state. And I think it's so important and valuable to watch people and individuals pushing and driving these things to adapt and change with this new technology and this new information.
You know
and
what?
I am so excited about it.
It's happening because we have more diverse points of view who actually get a seat at the table. We get to hear from people that we historically in the entertainment industry never gave a voice to. And I think that's the reason why things are more interesting, things are more well-rounded, things are more sensitive, things are more culturally relevant, because it's not just the same people making the decisions in the beginnings of film and media. That's not what those conversations, that's not who is populating those conversations now. And it's a huge inspiration to get to see and to get to be in some tiny way a part of it. And it's super cool, you know, getting to hear from all these different backgrounds and stories and points of view. How could you not end up in a way where you're going into the unknown world of new tech and new applications? You can't just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, because we're also consuming these things more and more. So just generally speaking, I think more people being allowed to voice their stories and their thoughts and experiences has given us a really cool gift that we get to play with.
Definitely. And I guess for you, Morgane, working at Disney, if what you like doing is working with the latest technology, you couldn't be at a better company, because Disney are always at the forefront of like designing the new technology. They're not just purchasing it, they're part of that production process. So it must be really exciting for you that you can actually like maybe have an idea and find people within the team that sort of help you make that happen. Is that like your experience?
It's a very positive place. It's a wonderful place to, you know, I'm in this position. I'm just coming up on a year, and in that year, I have joined so many. They're called Business Employee Resource Groups, or BERGs, and they are a wonderful resource for folks to get to know the community, especially because we're mostly working virtually, but we can connect and communicate with anybody. And so I was just on a thing a couple of days ago. It was a mentorship call where I volunteered to be a part of it. And we met with hundreds of people who work anywhere from guest services and costumes at Disneyland to ESPN commercial lineup programming, you know, right at like the forefront. I mean, it was everybody. And it's as simple as sending a note and saying, hey, I'm interested in learning a little bit more about what the process is to make this thing happen. And everyone is so receptive. Everyone is so nice. And there are so many amazing, super smart people who work for this ginormous place. And so knowing that I can just sort of knock on any door and ask questions and learn from people is wonderful. It's really fun.
And now you've sort of entered this new space where we've gotten the pleasure to meet you and understand more about you. And I was wondering, what has been your favorite part thus far? I'm sure there's more to come of working with the team of VeVe and your Disney partners.
This. Oh, it's human. It personifies it, whatever the word is. First and foremost, I mean, anyone who knows me knows that my community is the most important thing to me. Nothing is more important to me than being surrounded with people who care and who support each other and are a positive influence on each other and are honest and help each other grow. And that exists in so many different spaces. And so being relatively new to the NFT world, seeing and hearing from the folks at VeVe who said, I don't know if you've heard of women at VeVe, but like, they're kind of cool, and learning about you guys and getting to understand what this group is all about, that's a different side than what it is I do every day, right? What I do every day is I'm an art director. I'm supposed to make art that is fun and great and everyone loves. And that's the point of an art director. And those kinds of art positions and creative positions by nature are a little bit isolating, because you have to make, who's going to make the thing, right? Someone's got to do it, and that takes time. So in making the thing, sometimes you miss out on the opportunity to connect with people. And I am really social. I love getting to know people. So I don't mean to suck up to y'all, but this is really cool, and getting to connect and get to talk to people. I made a Twitter. I had never been on twitter.com before, like a month or so ago, that someone at VeVe was like, you should probably get a Twitter if you want to connect with the community. And I was like,
absolutely. Twitter's definitely where we're in it. VeVe also brought me to Twitter as well. And it was funny because when the lenticular cards happened, I actually had a very small interaction with you on it. And it was kind of like, oh my gosh. Like, did you guys see this? Like, Morgane liked my tweet.
no.
You know, and it was really exciting and really fun. So we love doing this too. It's so exciting. It's hard not to feel like we're interacting like with celebrities, you know, we're brushing shoulders because it's so neat seeing something that we're so passionate about and so excited about, and being to have this connection with the artists is just so exciting for everyone. And we are so glad that you were able to join us today.
Yeah. Aw, that's very sweet. Uh,
Morgane, I wish you could sort of see me nodding and smiling. Obviously, could you send one of the Berg people round to sort out my camera? Because obviously I'm too dumb to do it. But yeah, I'm really sorry that you can't see me literally smiling and everything. It's you know, it's fantastic to hear your story and the fact that you've almost sort of created your own community where there wasn't one. And that was quite hard at the time. You know, kind of what reflections have you got about that now? Do you think it was the path that was always chosen for you, or would you have done it differently?
I would not have done it differently. I feel really grateful for everyone who I am really passionate about this stuff, and it's beyond this screen that everyone is looking at right now. It consumes my everyday conversations, and it was a wonderful feeling when I felt very lonely at university. I was very alone. There was no one else who did what I did. And when I tried to bring up any of these subjects, like, oh, did you guys see the ride vehicle system for this new attraction? Oh my God, can you believe it's trackless? It's run through Wi-Fi. People would be like, shut up. We don't want to hear it.
But they just sort of shuffle away from you. There's that crazy lady in the canteen again.
So yeah, very much so. And so you find the places where you belong, or you change. And I didn't want to change. I didn't want to lose what I thought was really important. And I don't think I bring any new perspective. I don't think I bring anything particularly interesting, other than that I really care, and I will never not care. And everyone has their role in the communities. And so, you know, to answer your question, I went out and found people who would challenge my ideas, who didn't agree with my ideas, but they cared. And that was the most important thing for me, was not finding a group of people who were a fishbowl and all thought the same thing. It was people who helped me grow. And so I really am proud of the decisions I made when I kind of branched out and started making connections and learning about the communities that I wanted to be a part of. Because I think it made me a little bit more holistic. And I'm always learning. I've always got so much to learn. That's part of interfacing with you lovely folks, is there's so much I don't know. And I'm always happy to continue to learn and make myself a better person as a result. I don't know if that answers your question. I'm sorry.
Oh no, it does. It does. It does. You can only speak to, you know, to the sort of path that you've trodden, can't you? Really. But that'll segue fairly neatly into my. Well, I've got the floor. I might as well talk. So my question to you is, what would you tell your 8-year-old female self about the best way to get into animation today? And it comes from the perspective of having, you know, an 8-year-old daughter downstairs who will literally craft anything at any time, anywhere. And you know, she's very arty, loves design. And when I told her, I said, "Oh, Mummy's going to talk to somebody who works for Disney," and she went, "Oh, what's his name?" And I said, it's a lady. And she said, "Oh my goodness, Mummy, that's amazing." So I kind of wanted to get your perspective on that. So yeah, what would you tell your 8-year-old female self about the best way to get into animation today?
I'm glad you shared that with about your daughter, because I wanted to touch on something. I think I would tell myself to be fearless and to be ready to be told that I could not do it. That was, you know, I think, as we're all women, you know, in some relation working through a creative avenue, we're all here today talking about this. That's a creative thing. And I wish I had really been prepared for how many times someone who was not female presenting would say to me, I don't think women should direct. I think you think too much with, you know, you get emotional, and it's too much of a risk. Or, yeah, I don't really think that the female perspective is what we need for something like this. And I was blindsided by it. I was naive, and I thought, oh, it's going to be easy. I'm a decent artist and I know what I want to do, and I'm a strong person. I was so unprepared for how, I'm going to swear, how shitty that experience was. And it
Yeah.
made me tough. And I don't necessarily regret it, but part of my work with young women and young professionals in the industry who are in any way not a cis white male, is helping them realize their strength and their superpower in not being the thing that is the assumption, like you said about your daughter. And one of the things about my name is people will tend to call me Morgan. So in emails, people would assume I was a man, and then they would meet me face to face and go, "Oh, wait, you're a woman?" And then I'm treated differently.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, people were explaining things to me that was, so we're going to need you to do a piece of concept art. Do you know what, and like, come on, man, you hired me for this. Why are you treating me differently? So
Yes.
being fearless, knowing that people will doubt you only because of the equipment you were born with. People will assume you're lesser. People will assume you don't know what you're doing only because you look the way you do. And just get over it and kick ass, prove them wrong, do your thing, and just ignore them.
I will tell her that, but and I honestly will. I'll play back,
booty,
but I might have to bleep out the ass bit.
Kick booty. That's
oh, she'll understand that. Yeah, definitely.
There you go. Sorry. Yeah, don't tell your 8-year-old daughter that the Disney lady said ass.
She will love it, actually. She will love that. I might just do it and say, it's a naughty word. Please don't repeat that in school.
Also, another thing for her is to always practice. Someone gave me really good advice when I was just a wee less, and they said, even if you feel like duty, just to make it repeatable, make sure that you do a little bit of something creative every single day, no matter what it is. If you're feeling sad, do something sad, do something that supports that, like draw yourself crying, or just, anything that gets you practicing what it is that you enjoy doing. If she's crafty and she likes doing, popsicle stick sculptures, do that more often, and it sounds like you're very supportive of her. And that's such a wonderful seed and a wonderful foundation anyway. But continuing in that and experimenting with other things, because you might find as a little kid that just because you're, I think when we're kids, we're creatures of habit, right? We get comfortable with something and we want to keep doing that because it makes us feel happy. We don't necessarily understand why, but starting to branch out in that creativity. I was fortunate that, my father was very technologically minded, and my mother, she made costumes and sewed and crocheted and knitted. But I asked her to teach me how to crochet very early on. And I started donating. I would, take my allowance and I would sell silk screen t-shirts and things like that to people at my school, and use that money to buy yarn. And then I would crochet scarves for a women's shelter in Chicago. And every winter we would work tirelessly, and I would make like cartoon character hats and things like that as just a way to expand. They were ugly hats. I hope people didn't hate them that much. But the point was it got me using what it is I enjoyed doing and thinking about it in a context other than myself. How can I help with the thing that I know how to do? I learned to cook very early. My family is very French. So, making crepes and making all these wonderful country foods, and they're all under the basis of sharing. And so internal development is just as important as taking that first step and being open to receive that feedback, because someone might taste it and go, I don't know about that. It needs more salt. And the sooner that you can start receiving feedback as a creative person, the sooner you can healthily take that in, take what's important, and then grow yourself instead of maybe being defensive. In case you could tell, there's a lot of things I would tell an 8-year-old. As an 8-year-old, that's an important time in someone's life.
I'll DM you after. It's all right. You can set up a special session with her, and she'll probably end up, chucking glitter and feathers all over my house. But no, that's a perfect answer. Thank you very much.
I'm very creative, Morgan, because I have a 9-year-old daughter who's also highly creative and loves to draw. So she, right now, like obviously pen and paper, but also on Procreate. So what programs would you suggest for younger people to use? Yeah, see, that's what my daughter does, right? And I think Procreate is nice. It's a nice start for them too, because you can trace something first and
Right.
then add your own flair to it. So
Oh yeah.
that for you,
Procreate.
is that how you design?
Yep, I do.
Yeah.
Almost everything. I mean, if I'm at a desktop, like I'm sitting here, I will use Photoshop more
Yeah.
often than not. I've been using Photoshop since, for a long time, but with the advent of Procreate, I can't even begin to tell you how many large scale professional concept pieces were done in Procreate. Actually, the lenticular cards, I painted those in Procreate. So, it's Procreate's an amazing tool. Not
It
only
is, yeah.
photo manipulation, but also basic animation. I've done some animation mock-ups and things using that option. So,
Mhm.
and you can do perspective. I taught a perspective course at Cal State Long Beach last semester before that. What is time? And we use the perspective tool in Procreate. There's a lot that you can do in there, but I also wouldn't discount physical media.
Yeah.
Being able to manipulate something with your hands and gain the perspective and dexterity that it takes to do something in front of you makes you a better designer when you're working virtually and digitally. So my favorite thing when I was starting as a concept artist that she might enjoy is when I wanted to design like a city or I wanted to design a place, I would take Kleenex boxes and toilet paper tubes. And I still do this if I need to visualize something. I keep empty cardboard boxes on hand and things like that. Like I'll make a little diorama. It's super ugly. It's just boxes, but I'll take a photo of that. And then that's what I trace to make it
interesting.
and do it as an exercise. But you've got the edges of your buildings, you've got the corners, you can make a little street if you want. And it's fun because you can make it as detailed or as, abstract as you feel like, but at the same time, you're visualizing something 3-dimensionally that you will then translate into a 2-dimensional.
Oh, that's fascinating. I like that. Can I ask one other quick question? Just on Procreate, I would be curious, what is the most amount of layers you've used on one of your projects then? Because I can only imagine like when you're building.
Oh man. In Procreate, I use Procreate because it's pretty limiting compared to Photoshop. I would say that the biggest Photoshop file that is like a painting that I've done has had something like 400, 500 layers.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
Well, if you think about it from like a theme park design standpoint, think about when you see a new land coming out, and I didn't do theme park design over at Disney. I've done it at a myriad of other companies, but it wasn't at Disney. So I just want to make that disclaimer. When you see those like new attraction, new whatever, think about how many people you see, tiny little ant-sized people. Someone's got to paint that, right? And let's say you've got a director who comes in on a Tuesday and says, I don't like that guy's green shirt. Can you change it to purple? And if it's not on an individual layer, good luck. You gotta it's just a little more work. And so I'm a bit of a stickler with layers. I'm very organized in that way. I name everything and keep it really organized so that if I do need to change something quickly, I can just boop, and then it's done and it's easy. Way faster than physical paint.
Perfect. Thank you.
And a woman.
Sounds like you've.
I said, and a woman.
It sounds like you've been on such a journey. You've got so much great experience behind yourself, so much fantastic advice. Like even as an adult, like I'm finding that so inspiring to listen to. And I'm sitting here telling myself in my head, right, Sarah, you need to sort your shit out. Get a grip.
I do that to myself every day, honestly. It's all a matter of perspective, I think.
Definitely. So to build on what you were talking about with sharing, a good segue here is, we've all pivoted for whatever reason. COVID happened and we found each other from women all over the world, and women empower women. And we created this space to invite more women into the space because it can be quite intimidating. Morgane saw what happened during COVID and saw students who had internships and job opportunities set up completely fall out from underneath them with limited funds. And I'd really love for you to tell us about your academy. I think it's it's just extraordinary what you came up with. And tell us what you did. She marches into university and says, "This is the program that I want. You don't have it, but let's make it." And then what? And then what do you do?
Right. Well, it was so kind of the timeline of that was, yeah, COVID hit and it hit hard. Not only did I see my young students and mentees without their opportunities for their internships or being told, you know, they were getting excited to go to Imagineering for their big internship. And then Imagineering was like, sorry, like, and no, it's not there. Like the parks were closed, right? Like what work are you going to do? There's no work. So not only the young professionals or emerging professionals from different careers trying to make it into that industry, but then conversely, the professionals, the people who have been working for a long time, who have all of this amazing information and now no way to share it. So I was really interested in trying to find a way to connect these people, because we were stuck working virtually. So what do we do? I used to hold all of these events through the TEA, Themed Entertainment Association, that were meet and greets and speed networking events and things like that, just to get business cards in hands and get people talking. That all came to a grinding halt. So what do you do? So I consulted with a couple of folks, and it was a Monday, and I had a couple of calls. I called a design company that I have a lot of love and respect for. They're called Bezark, Bezark, small-ish design company that does a lot of themed entertainment work. Really wonderful people. And I know that they were active in the community. And I said, here's my pitch. I've got an idea. I want to make this happen. And how can you help us financially? Can you give us a seed so that we can pay for the website, the storage, all the fees that are associated with doing something for other people? And they said yes. So on Monday, I had the idea. I called a group of people who were wonderful and agreed to be mentors and to help out and to be a part of this. And by Friday, I had a working website that I built myself. I didn't sleep that week. I did all of the program structure and the application process, all of our paperwork that would be needed to keep everybody lined up, all the creative things and like what this was going to be. Everything was set up by Friday. We took in applicants because I wanted to ensure this was an intimate process. I wanted to make sure that that professionals didn't have, 300 people that suddenly were asking them questions, because none of those 300 people are going to get a very good experience, and the professional person is going to be miserable. So we thought we'll limit it to 40 people. We had 8 professionals who offered to be mentors, and we had teams of 5. And so what we did was we made a pitch deck, because that's something I have my interns do. I thought it'd be a great opportunity to get to learn a little bit about the process. We have writers. We had students come in as writers, as graphic designers, as artists. We had a couple of different positions, and these students with no other experience would be a part of this, and they would have a hell of a professional who would mentor them along the way. And at the very end, I surprised them. I invited a ton of industry heavy hitters to come and watch their presentations. It was all virtual. No one ever met each other. We had people all around the world who participated in this. It was really successful. I didn't expect it to be that way. So people were asking me, well, you're a college professor. Can you start adding classes? And I was like, heck yes, let's do this. But my biggest thing is I don't want it to be expensive. I didn't have the money, like I said, to go to these programs. I don't believe in a golden covered door to try to get into doing something that you love. It's just, a pedigree should not be a requirement, but there is no other place for this type of knowledge. And so going back to my point about these professionals who found themselves without work and these students who wanted to learn, I thought, okay, well, it's a little bit of cash in the professional's pocket, and it's a lot of knowledge in the students' minds and hearts. And, let's make it something it's not going to be like other programs where it's 10 grand for 6 weeks. It was like, I think when it started, it was like $120 for like 6 weeks of courses where we were meeting a couple times a week. And I helped with these teachers that I had hired on who were amazing working professionals. And we coached them. My husband is a wonderful pedagogy specialist. He was a school teacher, and now he runs a music academy. So he was by my side helping me structure everything and make sure that every moment of every class was educational and useful and well-structured. And so I poured my life into this. And There were wonderful people who were involved and who were interested in the initiative. And we had big groups offer to buy us, but they couldn't promise that they would charge as little as I was charging, because I wasn't in it to make a profit. I was in it to help the community. I was working 7 days a week, teaching at 2 universities, working at a studio, and running the academy. It got to be a lot, and it turned me onto the topic of mental health, which is something I wasn't really addressing. I myself was also going through the pandemic, just like everybody else, but I kind of ran myself a little bit dry, and I kept it going and I kept it going and I kept it going. But as the industry started to open up and things started to come back and opportunities started to come back, I kind of let everyone know. And then I was hired on at Disney, and I wanted to give my all to that because I didn't want to spread myself thin to anyone. I always want to do my best. And so I kind of let everyone know, like, okay, things are opening back up again. Maybe we'll open up again at some point. But for right now, we got to say bye for a little bit. And, once things can kind of calm down with my own professional goals and career, I would love to look back into it. But I think it was something that was helpful, at least I hope, in a time where it was a very dark period for a lot of people. And I think I've heard from students who have flown out and met each other and gone to events, and they've had meetups from this academy that I kind of just dreamed up, and they're best friends now, and they're working together, and they've got projects together. And I mean, there's nothing more gratifying in the world than knowing
so
that
rewarding.
you
Yeah.
folks. Yeah,
It's so rewarding. You must have touched many, many lives through that. And it's going to trickle down even further, and it will continue on whether or not the academy reopens, I think.
I hope so.
I think
that people cared, because I think a lot of us felt like no one cared, that we were just kind of left in the dust and just everyone was feeling like crap. Yeah.
Same with live entertainment, the theater, which you just got to go to again, which was really extraordinary. I just got to go also a couple months ago, and it was very, very emotional for the audience as well as the actors on stage. It was something. The viewers, the family is going to hate this, but we have to respect Morgane's time, because it is her work day right now. It's
her work day, but I was able to move a meeting. We can go
a little bit longer. I think
a little longer. Yeah.
We'll switch over. We're gonna switch over to a little bit of whimsy so that we can get Sarah's fun little game that we do. It's something that we are known for. And I'm going to turn it over to Sarah, and then we can talk to you as long as you'll let us. I'm sure that everybody still has questions, and you're just so inspirational and wonderful to have on the show. So
I feel like I'm being a bit of a bummer.
Oh my gosh, quite the opposite. And I don't know if you're still full screen, just rest assured that the comments are glowing and everyone's inspired.
I'm not full screen, but I had it on private chat this whole time.
Yeah, so the comments are going by. Yeah, inspirational. I have to get my wife on board. For women. So,
over here.
You're the perfect guest, International Women's Month. We're going to take the month because a day, really. So we're just thrilled that you're here. And what's the next one that just came out? She's kind of a big deal. You're kind of a big deal.
My team is a big deal. I'm only one very small part of it.
And that's why you're a big deal.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Right. That's why you're a big deal. Okay, Sarah, whimsy us.
All right, Morgane, are you ready for a quick fire round?
So excited.
No, but I'm excited to do it
anyway. I'm going to give you, so we're going to do 2 rounds. The first round is Would You Rather. I don't know if you've heard of the Would You Rather game before. So I'm going to give you 2 options, and you have to pick one of the 2, okay? Of Would You Rather. Ready to go. Round 1. Would you rather take care of 101 Dalmatians or keep track of Stitch for the day?
I would rather take care of 101 Dalmatians because I have 5 animals, and it's basically like that. And they're all like Stitch. So I can take care of 100 of them just fine.
You wild. Would you rather create traditional art or digital art?
Digital art.
Yeah. Would you rather watch a musical or watch an action movie?
A musical.
Would you rather live up in the sky or under the sea?
Up in the sky.
Hang out at a theme park or hang out at an art exhibition? Hard one.
Hard one.
An art exhibition at a theme park, which is what I made
love
this
it.
for. This is what this piece was for. Okay.
Wow.
I cheated.
Okay. Would you rather design backgrounds or design characters? Sorry.
Ah, no. Oh shit! Taki mushrooms. Backgrounds.
All right. Always have to enter rooms by announcing your name, or always have to do a cartwheel out of the room?
If I could do a cartwheel, I would totally do them everywhere. I like to skip places. I do skip a lot as an adult woman.
Nice.
We should skip more, especially while we still can. That sounds like a threat. Didn't mean it like a threat. I just one day you'll wish that you could move in dorky ways that you want to express yourself with, and you'll wish that you had done more of it. So
Yeah, as the senior in the room, I'll second that.
Undertake that advice on board. Would you rather have cheesy fingers or chocolate toes?
cheesy fingers, 100%. I literally went to a charcuterie themed presentation last night, all the way.
Oh, that's fun.
Have breakfast on the Eiffel Tower or have dinner in Sleeping Beauty's castle?
I am not a big fan of the Eiffel Tower. I love what it represents, but I'm not a big fan of Paris. My family's in the Northeast countryside. I'm all about that countryside feel. And Sleeping Beauty's castle is mwah, chef's kiss. So
fair answer.
I'll hang out there.
Last one. Would you rather meet a superhero or meet a cartoon character?
I will challenge the question and say that they can be one and the same because a lot of people identify with cartoon characters. Princess Tiana is my superhero. So I don't know.
That's true.
There's a flaw in the question there, Sarah.
Sorry.
Lawyered you.
I'm sorry.
Good answers. Cool. All right, we're going to go into the next fire round. So this one's a little bit different. We want you to give us one word that comes to the top of your head straight away. You ready?
Okay.
Yeah. All right. This is a test question. How are you feeling right now?
Grateful.
Good. Who is your main inspiration?
My husband.
Nice. What's your biggest weakness?
A microscopic view. That's
What?
I'm sorry, microscopic view. Then it's one word.
What's your biggest strength?
Love.
Where in the world would you most like to be right now?
Animal Kingdom.
Nothing.
Oh, sorry. Okay, no, I'll change it so that it's within, I would say, Efteling.
Nice. Who is your favorite artist?
Mark Davis. No, well, okay, that's hard. Mark.
That is hot. Yeah. What is?
You all know Mark.
What's it like working for Disney?
Magical.
Describe your art team.
Describe what?
Your team, your art team.
Unbelievable.
What's it like working with VeVe?
Oh, I have a couple of words. I'm trying to stick to your.
Keep them clean, Morgane. Keep them clean. No swearing.
No, I was like, exciting.
Exciting, nice. What makes you happy?
Community.
And what's your favorite activity that's not art related?
Eating.
Nice.
That didn't take but a second.
Amazing. Thanks. That was great.
You
did it. You made it.
All right, you've been jumped into the gang. You're part of the gang now.
I gotta say, I'm excited to see what my heart monitor says after that because
you did look slightly concerned.
I'm like,
a couple of points.
hold on. Anyway,
Love it.
Made it through.
Well, who's got questions left? We've got some questions in the chat. I think I had NFT Queen couldn't be on today, unfortunately, because she had a conflict, and she's one of our Disney files too. And I think, well, she wanted me to ask what advice would you give people for anyone looking to get into concept design. And I think we pretty much, well, we covered a lot of that looking at from the child's perspective.
Yeah.
But, you know, even as like an adult, what's the first start? If you wanted to pivot, where would you start?
Actually, from the adult lens, I think it's a little bit different, and it's just as important. This is something a lot of my students deal with. So we graduate from college. Let's say we're all in an art program together. We've all been drawing every day. We graduate, and then we go, well, I don't know what's next. How do I get a job? Now what? And I think there's kind of a misconception that is not, it's not fair to the students, but that like, because I saw it at my own university, people expecting to be discovered, especially in the world of content creation online and social presence and things like that, that unless you are a super well-known, you know, you're on Tumblr or something like that, or even back in the day, DeviantArt, which do not go to that dark hole now. It is a scary place. But at a point, it was where people put their portfolios. And unless you had 1 million followers, you know, you just kind of sit there. Here's the thing. There is no book that Pixar and Disney and Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network and anybody in any animation or any creative field, really, there's no book with names that they're just going to go, we're going to call you up. Come on in for an interview. It doesn't work like that. They don't know you exist. So make them know that you exist. Start like mowing down. You know, my favorite thing to do was look at job listings, look at the qualifications on job listings that matched things that I wanted to do. I started practicing those things, and then I would make sure that in my personal statements, I used the same words they were using. I reflected what it is that they were looking for. And reading through those made it really helpful and easy, because you don't really know what is the stuff that they're looking for if you don't have the experience. So, you know, Google has a great job engine. You go on Google and you look up, let's say, concept artist job, and you're going to find concept art for video games. You're going to find concept art for like set design for TV and film. I mean, you're going to find 1 million different applications for that one specific thing, and each of them will be worded differently. So use that language, use language to your advantage, and really tailor yourself and become a brand. That doesn't mean hunt for followers. It doesn't mean, you know, try to live in the public eye. It's more about solidifying who you are. And then a secondary component of that, a lot of my students go, I don't know my style. I don't know what my style is as an artist. I don't know my style either. It's kind of seen as a bad thing in some ways to have a style, because a studio doesn't want, just from a concept art within themed entertainment standpoint, because that's my experience, that's what I can talk to. But a studio wants to be able to create a bunch of concepts and create a bunch of art and make it look like a lot of people are involved. So if on Tuesday you can paint like one person and on Wednesday you can paint like another, it shows a diversity in the work. It also shows a diversity of influence. So, you know, I know we talked a little bit about the idea of different points of view. That shows in your artwork. So if you do the same thing over and over and over again, and I got to say, I am sick of seeing, and this is not a slight to young people learning, it's because it's what they're surrounded with, but I'm really sick of seeing sexualized young women as like main characters. Here's this motorcycle chick, and here she is in her leather jacket, and she's doing this expression, and God, she's so cheeky, and look at her cleavage, and oh, she's hot. Like, there is more to this world than a 26-year-old hot lady. Let's start seeing more than that in a portfolio. Yes. Let's look at the emaciated, you know, 87-year-old man who collects model houses. Let's look at what that character looks like. You know, let's start to diversify. Maybe we don't always show Paris. Maybe it's not always, oh, I did concept art and it's Paris. Go to a country that people don't know what's happening. Don't just show the beautiful things. Look at tragedy, look at melancholy, explore a diversity of subjects. The world is such a beautiful and tragic place. And as an artist, it's our job to capture that. So having a multidimensional point of view immediately sets one apart in their portfolio. And then as you circulate that, people will notice, I think, pretty quickly. So that was so preachy. Oh, goodness.
Oh, it was awesome. You know, I really like the point about, you know, in the NFT space, there's a lot of criticism, you know, outside of VeVe in NFT artwork, about if an artist doesn't have a cohesive portfolio, if you can't look at every piece and know that that's from that artist. And while I do appreciate that with some of the artists that I collect, you go through moods, you evolve, and you
Right.
It's nice to have the diversity in the art. And like what you said, don't just create the beauty, you know, redefine what beauty is.
Beauty is not necessarily a 26-year-old hot person.
That's right.
You know,
That's right.
some of my favorite characters and illustrations are people who follow around seniors walking around on their daily walks and seeing how they interact, how they walk, what, you know, people who take a moment and appreciate what's around them, people who are ill and or are, you know, I love including in my, you know, cast of characters people who are neurodivergent or, you know, non-binary, and individuals who represent our community holistically. It's not just one perspective, one race, one angle. There's a lot of color, a lot of forms, a lot of shapes, a lot of beauty in everything. Anyway, this is the finger wagging again, so I'm going to stop.
I love it. Yeah, but you're entitled to opinions. I don't really feel that it's preachy. I don't know if anyone else here on the panel feels that it's preachy. I think it's a beautiful perspective, to be honest.
No, it's lovely.
Creative process, Morgane. So when you get a new project, like how do you start from end to finish? Sorry, that's my phone going on, which is actually on silent. It's going off. I'm sorry about that. So what is your creative process from beginning to end when you get a new project?
Well, it depends on the kind of project, but generally there's a project will land in my lap, and this is across every study and every media, with a prompt, we'll say. There's the prompt phase of, okay, so this is what we want to involve. Let's be completely abstract. We want to involve this red cup. Great. So,
oh, we lost her.
Oh no.
Right in the middle of a good part.
Someone needs to start dancing.
About the red cup.
Someone start dancing.
Okay, well, if you're
say a
just joining us now, viewers, we're doing our interview today with Women of VeVe with Morgane. It seems that she's having some slight technical difficulties. I'm sure she'll bounce back in with us momentarily. In the meantime, feel free to fill our chat up with any questions that you may have with her, maybe about her art or her interests. We'd like to talk about things that maybe aren't so centric around VeVe and NFTs or any kind of teasers or anything like that, but just questions for her about her work and points of interest. Oh, there she is. Welcome back. Welcome back.
I have to say, Heather, that was absolutely inspired. That was amazing the way you just
this red cup.
in it.
Bye.
Red cup.
My God.
That's right.
I'm so sorry.
We may have
No,
touched on a
mention
topic
red
that she
cup.
wasn't allowed to talk about. The red cup.
Shut down. No, that was, I don't know what happened there. I live in the mountains away from everyone and everything, overlooking everyone and everything. And sometimes internet can be a little spotty. I am so sorry. Did we want to get to the rest of the question, or did we want to move on? I'm totally.
We want to know about the red cup.
Process.
Yeah, we know what happened with the red
If
cup.
I bring the red cup into camera, I'm not going to get booted, right? I'm just we'll try it. We have a red cup. Okay. The next questions are the logical ones. Before we can start dreaming pie in the sky, what do we want to do with the red cup? We have to ask, how long do we have to do something with the red cup? How many red cups do we have? Do we have enough people who know how to use a red cup? What do we envision doing with the red cup, right? And I'm trying to speak in a way that applies to numerous projects. I mean, of course, NFTs are one of them. I don't just work on NFTs. My whole team works on a lot of different projects, and we love the NFT project, and it's certainly a really big one. But they're all the same. They're all the same formula each time, and it's a matter of digesting the prompt, understanding how much time we have, and what our limitations are. You know, there's always other partners at play, and what they want to see out of, you know, Someone might say, fill the red cup with Sprite. And another one might say, fill it with straight gin and nothing else, right? Like you have to balance everything, and you've got to really figure out what it is that you can do that's going to make everybody really happy. And then once you've kind of made an outline of what your parameters are, you go in and you have the fun. That's where you get to really play. You come up with a million designs. You come up with a million options. Well, I think we should make a museum with a giant red cup that you can walk into, and then there's a million drinks on the wall around the inside of the cup, and you can try any drink in the world. Cool. Or maybe it's another one of like, make a Lego cup. I don't know. But the point is that that's where the sky becomes the limit, but not until you know how long your leash is. Otherwise, you make yourself sad because you've got 1,000 ideas that you know are not achievable. So, you know, the analogy that I give within the themed entertainment space is the 100-story glass house. In concept art, that looks beautiful, gorgeous, shiny glass tower. But the moment you hand that to someone in construction or in engineering, they're like, I hate you. What are you trying to accomplish here? You know, and just because it looks good from one perspective, concept art, does not mean that it is possible, does not mean that it is the right thing for what is actually, you know, feasible. That's a really, you know, the world of creativity, the world of design is such a huge one that I think explaining it in that way, not that I'm trying to obfuscate. I know we're all here, you know, because of NFTs, and this applies to NFT projects. But I'm certainly not able to get into everyday specifics of the inner workings. Yes. It's not fair to my team. It's not fair to, you know, all of that. And I know I can see, you know, a couple of people asking these questions, and trust me, I would love to answer absolutely everything. I am just as fascinated by everybody else about how all of this comes to be. And I feel very fortunate that I get to be along for the ride behind the scenes. But as best as I can tell you, that's what the process is.
That's fantastic. And your answer, honestly, has inspired a question from me, if I may. Sure. So where you've kind of got like this formula, as you've mentioned, for stuff, when you're out and about, whether you're going to maybe theme parks or just everyday stuff, or when you see like new releases coming out for different things, movies, videos, kid shows, toys, whatever, do you ever find yourself being like, ooh, I want to do something with that, or oh, this would be so amazing if we turn this into a ride, or if we turn this into a physical collectible, or if we turn you know, how I can't imagine being able to turn off maybe the formula of immediately being like, oh, we could do this, and then this would happen, and this would happen, and oh, let me call so and so and see if this, where there has to be so much inspiration that you see in your day-to-day life where you've kind of orchestrated this formula into your work. How do you decide, you know, are there things worth pursuing? You know, how do you take stuff from that moment of inspiration into something else?
The amount of opportunities for direct inspiration translation are fairly small. So let's say I love steam trains. It is no secret. I am a huge steam train nerd. Let's say I go to a steam train museum, and there's a gorgeous American engine sitting outside, and I'm inspired, and it is a especially beautiful day, and a bird flies by and it makes a whooshing sound, and I'm looking at the sky and I get really inspired by that. I have just listed so many different elements that I can take inspiration from that are not just the purpose of why I was there, right? It's not like I have to go, okay, well, now I have to do something train themed. I'm really big on I mean, I would love to always in my entire life do anything train themed. But that being said, there's so many opportunities from a sensory standpoint. And that's the thing I sometimes get overwhelmed with. So I might take into, let's say, an exhibit or something, the smell of the grass on that day because it had just been cut the day before, and I was sitting there admiring these engines, and I loved that smell. And so now I'm working on an exhibit that has to do with plein air painting, and I want to try to pump in some grass smell, not grass smell, yes. Grass smell, like fresh cut grass.
Yes.
and, you know, celebrate that moment of like freshness that I felt when I was in this space because it made me feel relaxed. So it isn't just what we're consuming visually that I think is a lead for inspiration, at least in the way that I like to design. Sometimes I touch something that is like, oh, I want to touch more of that. Like those toys. I'm basically an 8-year-old, honestly, like real here. Like sometimes, you know, I'm squishing on like one of those little squishy toys and I just want to like make that happen again for somebody else. I want to share it and I want to do
Yes.
something that involves, you know, so you find out what materials they are, you find out. Anyway, it's just it's overwhelming. It really is a steam train. Really. I don't even know what that is.
You have to make
You'll
it.
just
So
find
we've got the Steamboat Willie NFTs.
Right.
So I'm assuming he's wanting to see a train. I'm sure one of our fantastic little side gig concept artists will probably line up a whole bunch of Steamboat Willies now on some sort of a train for us.
Good. But yeah, I do have to head out in a couple of minutes now. I'm getting summoned in other. I'm seeing other screens in my office lighting up, so that's never a good thing. But I mean, I can answer maybe one more question before I have to jump. Go ahead.
I wanted to know, what is your favorite Disney related memory? Whether it be through the parks or work or just personal, your family.
Yeah.
That's
Okay,
hard.
it's a pretty recent one. Well, it means a lot to me. And just in case, by the way, I'm going to show everybody. In case anyone wondered how much I really love Disney, not only do I have a ton of Disney tattoos, actually all my tattoos are Disney themed, but my wedding ring is a Mickey Mouse. It is a wedding ring I designed.
Oh my goodness! And you designed it?
Yeah,
Oh my
no,
goodness!
it's sick. But so my favorite Disney memory is actually, it's one that's very recent. So long story short, I recently reconnected with my folks. I haven't spoken to them in quite some time, and you know, won't get into that. But my folks are not big fans of theme parks, busy places, that type of thing. They're just it's not what they're into. That being said, the last time I went to a theme park with them was like well over a decade ago, and you know, it's just not a part of their life. Most recently, for my birthday this month, I was able to bring them to Disneyland as an employee of Disney, which was a really cool thing to get to do, and sign them in and show them around. And while I had nothing to do with how Disneyland looks or what it is, as a member of the company, I am so proud of how it makes people feel. And I feel an immense sense of pride for this place. And one of the things I do when I go there is if I see trash, I pick it up. I'm that way with any theme park really, but Disney especially, because I feel like it's my part to keep it, you know, beautiful and clean. And so one of the things that I surprised my folks with a lunch at Club 33, which was really wonderful. I don't have a membership. Don't even ask. It was a friend of a friend of a friend situation. But it happened. And my father is the one who told me about Club 33. I have a 33 tattoo on my leg. Like, I'm a huge fan of this place. I think it's a cool idea. So he's the one who told me about this place. So getting to take him, and they're moving back to France at the end of the year. So this is probably the last time they're going to go to Disneyland, like ever. They're retiring. They're going to move over there. So getting to walk over to Club 33, if you know where it is, and to be like, oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't get reservations for Blue Bayou for lunch, but I guess we'll have to eat here. And my father, who's a very stoic person, immediately just breaking down in tears, was a really wonderful moment, because he felt so proud. He knew that he's the one who told me about it, and here I am getting to take him. It was a nice emotional moment for them, and just realizing the impact of what the brand is, and you know, what it means to so many people, and that even to people who hate theme parks, where they had an emotional response to something in the park that wasn't necessarily Disney related, but just because this space is such a safe place for people to feel, that they felt comfortable enough to do that. So that was a wonderful gift.
That was beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for sharing such an intimate moment.
There's so many Disney, I mean, goodness gracious, there's so many memories. And I hope that, well, this is one of them. This is certainly a wonderful Disney memory for me. just the privilege of getting to talk to everybody today and getting to chat with you guys before we did all of this even a little bit. But yeah, it's my answer and I'm sticking to it.
Morgane, sorry, before you go as well, I just, on behalf of the Women X VeVe and the rest of the VeVe fam, I just want to say a massive thank you to you and your team for producing the fantastic work that you've produced. It's just absolutely stunning. You guys must go through such a huge process, lots of emotions to get to that final result, and we only see that final result, so it must be so emotional for you guys to see it once it's out there and see it in everybody's showrooms and pictures and things as well. So yeah, you must be so proud of yourself and your team for that. It's just, yeah, amazing work. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Absolutely second that. I know you can't see my face. I've smiled so much I feel like it's going to fall off. So thank you for that. I need to go and scowl at someone now just to have a bit of a rebalance there. But thank you so much for giving so much of you in the interview as well. It's it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much.
The pleasure is all mine, friends. Thank you so much. And I don't know how many people were actually listening into this, but I see some great comments, and thank you all for being a part of that journey with me. This has been really fun.
Thank you. I guess, and on that note, we will give you back to your job and all of the.
I got to get back to it. I have meetings on this very subject, so.
Thank you for sharing your greatest strength of love. I love that answer.
Yes.
Maybe more than any other answer, to be honest, and it shows.
So cheesy.
You're a dear. It's true though, and it emulate. So thank you for that, and thank you everybody. What a great panel. Bye.
Thank you.
Please come back and chat with us again.
Yes.
You got it.
Yes.
All right. Take care.